Enough is enough. I'm Jessica Denson, and this is Lights On. Got a great show for you today. Millions are preparing to flood the streets tomorrow, April 5th, in protest of the illegal Donald Trump, Elon Musk power grab, this authoritarian coup that has no constitutional authority. I'm really excited today to be joined by my friend Harry Dunn. He was one of our speakers at the Veterans March Now DC on March 14th on the National Mall. He's joining us to get again today, fresh back from a trip to Nevada, where he was speaking with the legislature. They are introducing a resolution to condemn January 6th. And I really think after this week, after everything that we have seen this week, the people's rejection of the criminal election interference of Elon Musk in Wisconsin, after Senator Cory Booker being willing to get into good trouble on the Senate floor, breaking that record of Strom Thurmond, standing there for over 25 hours, really putting his physical well-being on the line to lay out the stakes. I really feel like this is a perfect time to be raising the awareness about Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And I'm so grateful to have Harry here today to talk about it because, I'm sorry, not sorry. I have a problem being concerned or outraged about these lower down constitutional violations. And let me clarify that. I'm not concerned or outraged. I'm disgusted and appalled at all of it. But I am impatient with anybody's failure to address the threshold issue, the issue that would stop all of these subsequent violations. And that is that there is a man in this office right now that the Constitution says is not allowed to be there. That disqualification was never removed. If you watch Lights On, I have been hammering this endlessly. It is the foundation of the 14th Now movement. I encourage you to go to nowmarch.org and go to the legal authority page if there's any question about that. But I just feel like this moment, with the growing public outrage against these insane tariffs from Donald Trump, against the destructive terrorism of Elon Musk, of our federal government and federal workers, against the illegal deportation of people who are in this country legally to El Salvadoran prisons where they're treated unthinkably and inhumane, complete violation of their human rights. As these violations pile up over and over again, and we are fighting them in the courts, but the courts may not be fast enough or willing enough, and that's a real tragedy, to stop these and undo these. It is vital that we return to the threshold issue of Donald Trump's disqualification and have the courage and bravery and be willing to get in the good trouble to address that. Now, I did not listen to all 24 hours of Senator Booker's speech, but I did some research. I need you guys to correct me if I'm wrong. I do not believe he brought up Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, but he sure did have a lot to say about the Constitution. I'm going to play a couple clips of his speech because it really gets to the heart of it. And if we could just nudge these people, and I'm so glad to have Harry with me today because he worked in that building for years. He knows the way these people think and operate. And man, oh man, do we have to be thinking outside of the box right now. So I want to play this clip from Senator Cory Booker, and then we'll take it on the other side.
12 hours now I'm standing, and I'm still going strong because this president is wrong. And he's violating principles that we hold dear and principles in this document that are so clear and plain. The powers of the Article 1 branch are spelled out, and he is violating them. A Congress that is being too complicit to an executive that is overstepping his authority and violating the Constitution and hurting people. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. God bless America. We need you now. God bless America. If you love her, if you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love. Stop them from doing what they're trying to do. This is when the most precious ideas of our country are being tested, where the Constitution, and the question is being called, where does the Constitution live? On paper or in our hearts?
Yeah, where does it live? And he's putting it on the people. And listen, I am the first to say that we the people have the power, so I will claim that power. Thank you very much. But there is something and many things that Senator Booker and every single one of his colleagues, especially on the Democratic side, could be doing right now. They could be doing right now. They could be invoking Section 3 of the 14th Amendment by a mere acknowledgement of it. As I will remind you, currently Trump is disqualified. All that has to be done, especially by a senator in his position, is to raise that fact. And then the subsequent conversation is he's disqualified. The only way to remove that disqualification is by a 2/3 vote of both houses. Without that, he remains an illegal president. His entire predicate for power is a fraud and a violation. And we have the right, as the people whose power is enshrined in that document that must and is more than paper, to demand that his presidency end. We do have that power. That is not magical thinking. That is what our Constitution gives us the authority to do. We need to start thinking bravely, creatively, radically, legally, righteously, legally in this moment, and not think that we have the luxury to wait. Now, you guys know I have been covering the protests incessantly. I've had the pleasure of starting from a grassroots few dozen people in the bitter cold protest to stop Donald Trump's certification on January 3rd to 5th. We have grown that movement to that beautiful showing of thousands of patriots, real patriots in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago on March 14th that Harry was part of. And this weekend, I have the I don't know I have the break of not having to organize my own event, and I'm going to be speaking at another one of the 5051 massive events that are expected to just be totally showing the power of the people this weekend. So before the end of the show, I'm going to give you that announcement and a few others. So definitely stick around. But right now, I'm going to bring in my friend Harry Dunn, straight back from Reno, Nevada. So good to see you. How are you
Yes,
doing?
how are you? I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. We're both recovering from a little bit of jet lag, but it's all good.
Man, I tell you, I love traveling, but flying, across the country, either direction, it sucks because you go against the time zones and they are unforgiving, man. I tell you.
Yes.
But I'm glad to be here with you. It's important. I'm really excited about the energy that protests around the country tomorrow have generated. I mean, the energy is palpable, and and that's great to see, especially so early into a. And I'm gonna remind everybody they're gonna hate me for this. Remind everybody that we're early into a 4-year presidency, illegitimate presidency.
Hold up. We can stop this, Harry.
I know. That's what I said. Wait, illegitimate presidency,
Yes.
presidency. Um, but yeah, like you just said about the 14th Amendment. I mean, it's clear what we have the ability to do, us as the people. Um, but listen, you don't gaslight people. I don't gaslight people. Listen, we have the power to do it. We, the people, do. If we're expecting much out of people in the Senate, like Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, are we expecting much from those individuals? I mean, even as recent as today, or was it yesterday? They just confirmed an election denier. The Senate did to the Justice Department. They confirmed an election denier to run the FBI. I mean, nothing. Do we expect any decency out of these individuals? Um, the answer is no, we don't. But the, I expect a lot out of us people, and we're showing it already. We showed it. We showed it on Tuesday when in Wisconsin. Wisconsin showed up and
Yep.
elected Judge Susan Crawford and rejected Elon Musk and the billionaires out there and saying, "Hey, you know what? That gave me some hope. That gave me a shot in the arm. That gave me an injection that we needed to keep on saying, you know what? Let's keep this going because we us are the ones that are going to get us out of this, and we can't depend on anybody in the Republican side of this to have a moral come to Jesus moment. It's going to take people like Cory Booker who are just inspiring people out there, people like yourself with the rally that you did back in March, the one that's going on tomorrow. Those organizers, these are the people that we need to look to, and it's important that we get into good trouble. Just plain
We
and
have
simple,
to.
just get into good trouble, and don't be looking to people to come and save us. Nobody's coming to save us. It's going to be us. So, I'm glad to be here with you, and let's talk. Yeah, let's get into it.
Well, the live chat is demanding that we see the full text of your T-shirt. So,
Oh, wow, okay. So it says this is what a New York Times best-selling author looks like. And
yeah,
you know what? This is kind of like a little humble brag on myself. And honestly, I couldn't do it without people like the people in the chat that supported me, that brought my book that I wrote about January 6th. It's called Standing My Ground. Capitol Police Officers Fight for Accountability and Good Trouble After January 6th. And you know what? That after January 6th continues into today, even 4 years later. As you mentioned earlier, I'm just getting back from Reno. I stayed in Reno. We drove out to Carson City, the capital of Nevada. And listen, I've kind of got this thing that I'm this drive that I'm on, and I had the opportunity in Maryland in the state legislature, the state senate, where they introduced and passed a resolution condemning January 6th, condemning the pardons. Listen, because we all see what they're doing. They're trying to erase, not even rewrite. They're just trying to erase what happened that
yes,
day.
yes, they
So
are, Harry.
I appreciate these states individually taking up the initiative to enshrine in a resolution in the history that this is what happened and this is bad, period. And Maryland did it. It just happened in Minnesota. I just had the opportunity to present that resolution in Nevada yesterday with the Speaker of the Assembly. Um, and I'm really hopeful that it should pass in Nevada. They have a super majority out there, and there were people that were opposed to it. They had people that were able to call in and support the January Sixers and everything. But the legislature out there is a super majority Democratic assembly. I think that
Republican governor, right?
yes, with a Republican governor. And I think that Michigan is poised to do the same thing in the next couple of weeks. So as I was doing that, I was like, wait, why don't we do that all around in every state legislature? So I'm going to look into that and see how can we get that enshrined in each state legislature. Now, obviously, the Republican ones are going to be almost impossible, but let's have Democrats introduce it. There are Democrats in those state houses, and hell, even some Republicans that are against what happened on January 6th. So I
Hey,
don't think it's. I mean, it's an uphill battle, but I don't think it's a.
baseline of not being
Yeah,
insurrectionist, as for being a patriot who's for your country, I mean,
so, right. It makes no sense, but I just think it's really important to get out there and you know, uh, why not? It's an uphill battle, but it's a battle worth fighting. Just like everything that you're doing, Jessica. It's uphill battles, but what's the alternative? Not fighting?
Harry,
Not a chance
listen,
in hell.
not a chance in hell. I mean, that's the only reason I have a show. I, of course, am in this space because of my legal battle and because of coming from the wrong side and coming clean and then being victorious against Trump. But like the only reason I have this show at all, I tell my viewers all the time, this is not a show, this is a movement. If I didn't have something to tell you to do, I wouldn't be here. Like there is the only reason I'm here is because I don't know how to be silent in a moment
Yeah.
like this. I don't know how to do that. And you were talking about your book, and I was fishing out the image of it there while you were talking, Standing My Ground. And you talk about John Lewis, and you talk about getting into good trouble. And Harry, what I have tried so hard to do on the show, it's the reason I left the network I was with before. It's the reason I've organized these protests. I have been trying to normalize conversations around difficult topics. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this is the motto for Lights On: stand out.
Stand out. I love it. I
Stand out.
love it. Stand
From
out.
from Timothy Snyder's book on tyranny. And these, like this, like you're saying, they're trying to rewrite history on January 6th. This is not some small thing. You lived like our friend Aquilino says, a medieval battle on that
Yeah.
day. Your friends took their own lives in the wake of this. This is someone who turned against his own country in violation of his oath to try to stay in power against the will of the people, knowing that it was a lie, and putting people like you in warfare to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is to me, to be beyond that conversation with Donald Trump still in our lives is just a world I'm not willing to live in. I'm not willing to live in that world. And that's why I keep returning to this and demanding, like, people, like, it's not just, unfortunately, Harry, it's not just the Josh Hawleys. It's not just the
Ted Cruz's
Wacko,
and Ron
Ted
Johnson's
Cruz's,
and
whatever. It's
yeah,
not just them.
yeah.
Our Democratic leaders have tools that they are not using, starting with, I know what would have been a really, really hard thing to do, but starting with what they could have done on January 6th of 2025,
Yeah.
and that's rejecting his presidency altogether.
Yeah, based on, like you said, that
Yes.
clause in the Constitution that all of them claim to revere and hold near and dear. Um, Listen, I mean, one other thing, like when I testified out there in Nevada yesterday, there was somebody in support who was like, they gave a Merriam-Webster definition of democracy and blah 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 and all this crap. And I was like, oh, I love a good definition, because in that same breath they were saying that it wasn't an insurrection and this and that and blah blah. I was like, look, man, like I'm glad you brought up definition, because Merriam-Webster defines insurrection as a violent uprising against an authority or the government. Full stop. Full stop. A violent uprising against an authority or the government. Like, that's exactly what January. It didn't say it had to be successful. It didn't have to say there had to be bow and arrows and torches and machine guns and grenades, and it didn't say any of that. The definition of an insurrection is that. And listen, like, everybody saw what happened on January 6th. Everybody knew it. Everybody can remember where they were, what they were doing. You probably remember what outfit you had on when the insurrection was happening. Everybody remembers that. So it is simple. It is simple to just press play, turn off the commentary, turn off MSNBC, turn off CNN, turn off Midas Touch or Joe Rogan. Just turn off all that shit and just press play. And you tell me that shit's okay. Nobody can do that. And if anybody says that they can do that, they're full of shit. And they damn sure don't need to be serving in any elected official capacity. And it's insane that I still have to get out here and talk about January 6th 4 years later, 4 years and some change later. And the thing about it, when everybody, Republicans and MAGA say, let's get over it, Jen, get over it, Dems, you lost, blah, 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 blah. Donald Trump talked about January 6th once or twice a week. So anytime that I'm talking about it, I'm responding to some bullshit that he said, because he hasn't gotten. Listen, I would love to get over it, but the only way I get over something is with accountability, and that shit hasn't happened yet. Now I don't know what it looks like now going forward with, I mean, Pam Bondi's not going to arrest Donald Trump. Kash Patel's not going to arrest Donald. It's not going to happen. I mean, like, at least from those two individuals.
Not in this administration. Yeah.
Correct. Let's be honest. Like, they are there to do his bidding. I mean, we even just saw, even with the Signal Gate thing, she said, "Oh, we're not even going to investigate it."
Hatchet for hire. She was saying hatchet for hire. Yeah.
A blatant farce that we all saw. You're not even going to investigate it. Like, at least do a sham investigation and don't. But literally to say that's your job to investigate stuff, and to come out just blatantly say they're not going to do it. Look, I don't have any faith in them, but and to be very candid with you and everybody here in the chat and everybody listening, I didn't have much faith in the American people. Y'all let me down on November the 5th. Listen, it was like a knife through the heart.
Hold on, pause. We're gonna come back to this conversation. Okay. Finish.
Okay, but no, it was just like a knife through the heart. It was just a knife through the heart, and I believed at that moment that we have to stop pretending America is this great nation that refuses to accept uh, uh, fascism, elects a convicted felon to be the leader of this world, a morally corrupt individual. And I had to say to myself, well, maybe America isn't this great country that is, but but what keeps me getting up in the morning and keep on fighting is that I believe that we can be, and that I believe that I want to leave that future for my daughter and her family, and the people that I love in this world, and everybody that is worthy of that. That's what I believe we can be, that country. But we're not, and we've showed
Right.
it. We've showed it on November the 5th. So
So
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
you got up on the stage at the National Mall, and you were saying that very thing. Which,
Yeah.
listen, if that's what we did, I'm disgusted in us too for letting you down in that way. But someone was standing behind you, and they said he cheated, and you said maybe. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I did. I looked around, I was like, I mean, I can't say he didn't. I
So one of the reason why this show exists as an independent channel on the Jessica Denson YouTube channel, which, by the way, I'm not very good at self-promotion, but like and subscribe, please,
like
everybody.
and
I've got
subscribe.
memberships
Yes,
going as
yes,
of last
yes.
week. So please like and subscribe to the Jessica Denson YouTube channel. The reason why this exists as an independent channel is because I had to leave Midas Touch to have a conversation that I thought absolutely must be had.
Yeah.
And it was that there were a lot of red flags in that election, that because of the spectacle and the heinous, disgusting insurrection that you lived through
Yeah.
4 years ago, Democrats were terrified to have this time. They couldn't even ask for a recount for fear of being called election deniers. And
Yeah.
we had Donald Trump out there saying, I don't need your votes. Elon Musk talking about, or his kid talking about how he knew how to rig elections. 7 swing states coming in before we went to sleep on election night. I've interviewed all kinds of people, actually. I've interviewed election security experts who were writing letters pleading with the Harris campaign to do recounts because the election deniers in 2020 had access to the software and those risks were never mitigated. I've had Greg Palast on this program talking about how 3.5 million voters, mostly voters of color, were denied their vote in this election because of massive voter suppression under the guise of True the Vote, which was a result of the
Yeah.
2020 Stop the Steal efforts. 3.5 million. If you're wondering if that changes the threshold of victory, it does. It
No,
does.
absolutely. This was the closest election
Yeah.
in most recent years that. Listen, I can't deny and I won't
Because
anything
we
that you're
didn't do
saying
it, Harry. I mean,
because
we literally did
we
not
didn't
do.
do it.
Every healthy democracy does election hygiene. And just think about what a job Trump and MAGA did on us all. If they made such a spectacle of election integrity by literally leading to the death of police officers,
Yeah.
that we could never have this conversation again. And everybody was prepared. In the lead up to the election, you remember, everybody was prepared for Donald Trump losing and
Yeah.
claiming victory. But nobody was prepared for him cheating in the first place. And God Almighty, shame on us, not shame on this show and the people that thank God that, the people have been brave enough to have this conversation and do the work. But the elected leaders, even Kamala Harris, who I supported, I was a
Yeah.
cheerleader for
Of
her
course.
on this show relentlessly, in spite of hangups that I had, because I knew our choice was binary. And she came out this week, Carrie, and she's like, courage is contagious. And I told you so. And I'm like, where were you listening to your base? 60% of the Democratic base was pleading with her to do recounts. And they were willing to give the money for it. And they were there. And they didn't do it. And I say this, this really gets to me because there were so many people following my show leading up to election certification and leading up to January 20th that had so much faith in Kamala Harris, in the Democrats, in Joe Biden. They're like, they're doing something. They've got some secret plan to save us.
Yeah.
And they never did. They never did. Where is that courage that we need? Where is that hard work that is good work that she talks so much? Like, where was this fight? And we have to acknowledge, like, we have to be really honest about these shortcomings if we have any hope moving forward, I believe.
Yeah, listen, I think one of the biggest things that we need in any circumstance that you have to do is
Yeah.
acknowledge your shortcomings.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, especially in an arena where your job is to get trust from the people.
Yeah.
Not only trust, but support. Like it's one thing to trust somebody. Okay, I trust you. Okay, yeah. But then to go out there and put my name, my reputation, saying I back this person. It definitely comes with a lot of trust and support that you have to earn. Um, and that's what I think people are really upset with the Democratic Party, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and rightfully so, rightfully so. Um, I don't know how many people but I followed the election of the new DNC chairman.
Mhm.
I followed that election, and we have I think they have four new vice chairs, but two of them that I know personally, David Hogg, a vice chair,
Yeah.
and Malcolm Kenyatta.
Kenyatta, yep. We've
Yeah,
met on the show, yeah.
yeah, and Ken Martin, was elected
Yeah.
the new DNC chairman, and I've had an opportunity to speak with him individually and listen to him speak. And listen, I one of the things, and everybody's like, I don't know about this guy. Listen, I he acknowledged the first thing that he did was acknowledge the shortcomings of the Democratic Party and said that we have to fix that.
Yeah.
So I believe that. I believe it 100%. And acknowledging your shortcomings, I think, is the start of healing and
Yeah.
also improvement. But one of the things you also said with the Democrats, how we had like this moment where you were like, all right, they're working on something behind the scenes. They got to.
Yeah.
At what point, and not even just with the election and with everything that's going on, at, at what listen, I think Democrats struggle, and I'm talking about the elected officials, not necessarily the people in this chat, struggle with being the bigger slash better person because we are morally, this is not opinion, we're morally superior than Republicans, right? We are better people, we're better human beings than they are. We treat people better, we are just better people than them. So when I think the struggle is holding that moral superiority and also finding the ground where it's like, all right, I'm going to punch you back. Like you're not just going to sit here and punch me. I'm going to punch you in your face back. I mean, metaphorically speaking, I'm not
Yeah.
promoting any violence to anybody. Let's
Yeah.
be clear.
Of course.
But I think that's where the struggle is. It's like,
Yeah,
wait a
moral
minute.
superiority, like, I
They
think
stormed
when
the
I think the
Capitol. They
word
use it.
moral, the one
Yeah,
word, the one phrase that I think of is moral courage.
I
Moral courage. If you don't have moral courage, then
yeah.
you can just throw out the rest of your morals because that's what you need in this world is moral courage.
You have to. You have to, and you have to. But a lot of people, I don't think, really do, and I really think that they struggle with that. Listen, I mean, if you see people, I mean, how many times have we seen things and be like, I'm not getting involved in that shit. I'm
Yeah.
whatever. I'm
I know.
above that. I'm better. I'm not getting involved in that little. But we actually need people right now that want to get into that, roll their sleeves up and to get into it. And that's that's when I ran for Congress, and I said, listen,
No,
I was made for a fight. This time right now, I don't believe calls for career politicians. This moment
mm-mm,
that we're in right now. Listen,
I agree.
when we get back to a functioning, sane democracy where you have Republicans, Democrats, and Independents alike coming down and agreeing on issues, then yeah, we can have your career politicians. We are in an all-out fight for survival right now, and we at this time does not call for career politicians. And that was one of my messages when I ran for Congress. Um, and I think a lot of people are recognizing that now with all the calls for when Schumer to step down, and people have called for Jeffries and all this new leadership, the people that are fighting out there, the voices, the energy, because
Yeah.
that's what we need in this moment.
Yeah.
Um, listen, but that's how people need to recognize what's at stake, what you're good at, and then stay in your lane. Like if we're talking about like all these crunching numbers and this, that's not my forte. But if you want somebody that's going to stand up and fight for the will of the people,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to look any further than somebody like yourself, myself, those speakers that we had back in March. That's what we need right now. So
Yeah, we really do, Harry. I wish you had won. One of our viewers told us about the letter, and you're going to have to remind me of the name of the woman who's in Congress right now who won the seat. I don't know.
her name is Sarah Elfred.
Sarah.
Listen, I mean,
Okay.
you know,
Wait, look,
huh?
I was
No, it was a 22 person race, so I
yeah,
came in second out of 22 people, and you know, I obviously I wanted to win, but I support her, and you know, we have to support the people that are there now,
yeah,
because like I said, we are in the middle of this fight, and
yeah,
it's kind of like a sports game. Like, hey guys, we just got to get to halftime right now, and
yeah,
then we'll readjust our game plan at halftime. But we work with what we have right now, and then at halftime we'll make some adjustments. The
yeah,
midterms is halftime, and you know, let's hopefully we got a Congress with at least one majority in the chamber, because that's what stops Donald Trump, just getting one majority in one of the chambers. And obviously, looking at it, the easiest one right off the break is the House.
mhm.
We are because everybody's up for election there every 2 years, and they are shooting themselves in the foot. But one thing, I don't want to get elected. I don't want to get I mean, I'm taking majority by any means, right? But let's not win just because they're bad. We need to win because we're better
Oh
than them.
yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
message is we do better. We're better for people. They don't give a damn about anybody but themselves. We give a damn about people. So like I don't want to win just because, oh, they're bad. Let's go with, it's kind of like, oh, you got elected because you're the lesser of two evils. No, nobody wants that. Like, let's win because no, we're
No.
better. I'm not the
Because
lesser
you're a
of two
freaking
evils. I'm
champion. You
better.
got elected.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So
But anyway, the reason I asked you about Susan is because one of our viewers wrote to me and said, I voted for Harry. I wish he won.
oh, thank
And
you.
he's
Thank you.
yeah, and they said I got one of these boilerplate letters back from Susan about why she voted to certify the election. And I've called these people out, listen, because they're doing a number of things. They're either, and when you talk about our team, like, listen, I'm in the mode right now, Harry, of being tough on the family.
Yeah.
Like, our family needs some freaking tough love right now.
Tough.
That's the mode I'm in.
Yeah.
So but she wrote one of these apparently letters to one of my viewers that either used the peaceful transfer of power to justify putting the man in who violated the peaceful transfer of power. That was a common line. Or suggested that new legislation was needed, which I have gone to great lengths with constitutional scholars on this show to debunk. I'll remind everybody, nowmarch.org/legal-authority. Everything is there. But can I ask you a really difficult question? Or maybe it's
Me?
not so difficult. Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay. If you had
My
won
connection
that
goes
race,
out, just I'll be right back, you know, if the connection gets bad or something.
if you had won that race and you
Yeah.
had been sworn in to this Congress on January 3rd and been sitting in that chamber to certify Donald Trump's election on January 6th, what would you have done?
I wouldn't have voted to certify it.
Oh,
I mean,
Harry.
period. Like, I mean,
Thank
listen,
you, Harry. Oh my God.
are you kidding me? I lived through it. I
Oh my
lived through
God,
it,
Harry.
and,
We
and
need
several of my coworkers did not live through it. You know, I mean, it's personal to me. Like, I
yes.
take this shit personal. Like, everybody, you know, Donald Trump, he's a horrible person and all that. He sent a mob to kill me and my coworkers. I can never forgive that shit. Like, never. So it's personal. And anybody that is okay with supporting him in any capacity,
Thank you.
like, I don't remember, if you can you pull up a picture maybe while I'm talking. I had
Yeah.
a hoodie on during the hoodie
Yes.
that I had on during your march.
Yes, I got it.
And you can pull that up real quick. And
Yeah.
I want to show have the viewers look at this sweatshirt real quick. So the letters on it, it says IDFWP, WFWP, IDF with FW. So it stands for I don't fuck with people who fuck with people that I don't fuck with. That's what it stands for. So that means if one of my enemies like I don't get this two-faced stuff. I mean, I am loyal to my friends, and if I got a friend that hates somebody, that means I hate them too. Like, because that's where's the loyalty at? Like, screw that,
Harry,
man.
why don't
Like,
we? Oh my God, you would have been. Do you understand? Like, you would have been a global hero. We wanted one. You don't know how our movement, and it was like a few dozen people in the cold, but it was like people around the country and frankly the world. Like, I'm literally getting chills just
yeah,
talking about this right now. Um, like the feeling that we had when that certification went through on January 6th without a peep from
yeah,
anyone. It was like it was just like I said, I called them the zombie apocalypse on 314 when I gave my speech. Like that's what it felt like. It felt like, body snatchers. Where are these people? Where is their souls? I mean, I've had people like Eric Swalwell on this show when I used to be on Midas Touch, and I went in his live chat on Instagram afterwards, and I was just like giving him hell because
yeah,
I couldn't stand the gaslighting reasons that he was giving for certifying that voter, or like you said, like it's some kind of moral high ground
yeah.
to have
No,
gone
it's
along
not
with it.
right. I mean, if you but just literally reading um that 14:3, just literally reading what that says, showing comfort or aid. I don't know the exact text of it, but
Yeah.
I mean that's what it is. And like I said, we could define every single word. Insurrection. Uh, that's what January 6th was, and especially show it with issuing the pardons to the people.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I said, it's personal for me, and like yeah, it's a one issue. It's one issue for me. It's a one issue. Like, I mean, there are a million things, right? Yeah, no person shall be a senator, representative, Congress, and any who have previously taken blah, 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 given aid or comfort or enemies thereof. You know, but Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each the House, remove such. So, I mean, there were yes, simple as that, and that's literally. And there's so many people to blame for this, and there were so many opportunities to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
The House
That's why I
impeached.
feel like that's why I feel like this week is such a it almost felt like a turning point for me
Yeah,
because first of all you have this first election which I was very grateful for that that Musk's criminal interference was not successful this time. And I also think it would have been a lot if there was any kind of hacking in the broader general election, that would have been easier to bury than a single election where everybody's eyes are on one place. So for whatever reason, it was successful and he was not successful. Thank God. And thank God we got a real barometer of where public sentiment is. And then you see Booker coming out. And I've commented on this show before about comments made by people like Raphael Warnock, who, I mean, listen, Harry, I like love these people. I have admired them so much.
yeah.
Where I was on January 6th, 2021?
Where were you?
I was in Atlanta, Georgia, because I had spent my Christmas and the whole month of December campaigning for Ossoff and Warnock in Georgia.
Wow. Can I tell you a story about that? Speaking of
Yes.
Atlanta, I'm glad that you said that. Um, I got two quick stories. I got to
Yeah.
run. I got to run because it's getting time to for me to have a little cocktail. So I'm gonna have a
Oh
I'm gonna have some of my bourbon.
no. This is
Excuse
a
me, y'all.
first on Lights On.
I have some bourbon.
I'll
but
have
no,
my water.
but no, I'll tell you two quick stories about January 6th. So on January 5th,
Yeah.
I stayed up all night long watching the returns come in for Ossoff. And I mean, it's 12:30, 1 o'clock, and they're still waiting for I don't remember what time they eventually came in. Thanks, yeah, nice to cancer over there. Sorry, y'all. but no, I don't remember what time it is. But I stayed up all night
Yeah,
watching
we
the
knew about
return.
Warnock the night before.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I was up all night on the night where I needed to actually get some sleep
Mm,
because I had no idea what was in store for me
mm.
in a few hours after staying up all night, watching CNN, watching the returns come in. And I, I was exhausted because I
Yeah.
stayed up all night. I expected a little bit of protest, some few arrests here and there, but nothing that would shape the landscape of our country. I didn't think that I was going to be a part of that. Uh, If so, I would have took my ass to sleep and got a full 8 hours of sleep instead of like a quick 3 hours and then turn around and wake up at 4:30 and get ready to go into work. Um, but I'm glad that the senators from Atlanta won.
Well, that's how, I mean, like, I woke up
Yeah.
thinking, I woke up thinking we're gonna have, total control of both houses, presidency. We've overcome this, peace, happiness, joy, victory, and instead of that, we have this terrorism, this
Yeah.
domestic terrorism that it was very, very hard for me. Like, it was a hard month in general, just being down there and just personally dealing with my personal situation and trying to help the campaign during Christmas. It wasn't a
Yeah.
fun month, put it that way. And I
Yeah.
was
At all.
looking forward to, like, just an exhale. And I'll never forget, on the night of January 6th, I was in the Walmart parking lot in, like, Alpharetta, Georgia, on the phone
Yeah.
with my own lawyer who had been fighting the Trump NDAs and my own personal case,
Yeah.
human rights
Yeah.
case. And I was screaming at him. I was so mad because I called in my original pro se lawsuit against Donald Trump in 2017. I said that these people were engaged in terrorism. And I was yelling at my lawyer. He didn't deserve it. But I'm like, why isn't anybody taking me seriously? Like, these are terrorists. I've been telling you for years they're terrorists.
No, I agree 100%. And but listen, this actually is kind of cool. This story right here. So a few months after January 6th, I met a group of astronauts
Yeah.
that were up at the Capitol, um, and I had already done a few interviews by then, and my name and notoriety, I guess, was starting to make its way around. Um, but one of them said to me, "Hey, Officer Dunn, do you know where I was where we were?" It was about like six of them, and they said, "Do you know where we were on January 6th?" They were like, they weren't on Earth; they were in space.
Wow.
So it's so kind of cool. And they gave me a challenge coin. I got to take a picture with them. One of them was Victor Glover, um, and he said they. And I thought about it. These are the only people who were alive on January 6th that were not on Earth. It was
Wow.
like six people, and like that's just I just like random facts or whatever. But they were like they literally said we had your Overwatch. And I was like, yeah,
Wow.
literally had it. So that was pretty cool. So, but yeah,
Yeah. If we could all have been off of Earth on that day.
right, I know, yeah,
But
right.
listen, Harry, I want to let you have your nightcap.
After
And
all that traveling, I'm gonna take it and knock out, man. I mean,
uh,
yeah.
listen, I've had such a pleasure meeting you. It was so great to finally meet you in person on 314. And I hope that people take the instruction that I think you've got in your book, Standing My
Yeah,
Ground.
yeah,
I hope that they take the spirit of Cory Booker this week, but beyond the words, these people are not without power. Yes, we have the power, but we can also pressure them and remind them of the power that they have, that we have given them, and they need to
yeah.
use it. They
And
need to
that's
use
and
it.
that's it. Um they they are because of us.
Exactly.
It's literally we the people. So let's remember that, everybody. Um, but also have realistic expectations and also know who your allies are. I mean, I was reading some of the comments. There was a little bit of infighting there. Listen, we all hate this dude and we all want to see him go, and we don't need to be split on how the hell he goes, because we all want him gone. So let's remember who our allies are, and let's remember who the bad guy is. Just keep focus on that.
Yeah. And we can also extend that to the people who are waking up from the delusion that this guy was on their side and voted for him. Like, I've said this from day one. The people like me many years ago, I'm many years gone from this. But those who wake up and realize how they've been duped and used are going to be your biggest allies too.
Yeah,
So welcome
absolutely.
them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I ain't got much for them. Like, damn them. Like like
I know.
I said,
Listen,
it's
I know,
personal.
Harry. I
It's
know
personal.
it's
I
rough.
don't like that. So
I
but
know,
nah,
but
thank
when
you so
they're,
much though. Thank you, Jess.
I know.
And listen, kick ass
Yes.
tomorrow. kick ass tomorrow. So
Thank you.
everybody else, I'm on Blue Sky if y'all are out there. Libra Dunn.
Clean up on aisle 45.
Clean up on aisle 45 is the podcast that I host with Allison Gill, which is Mueller She Wrote, and I also have a Substack, Harry Dunn, on there. So give me a shout. I got a couple thoughts every now and then, and random inspiration and bourbon pictures every now and then. So.
And wait, what was the last thing?
Bourbon pictures.
Oh, okay. All right, Harry. Such a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you so much. Y'all be well. Have me back anytime.
I will, for sure.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks to Harry Dunn. Definitely check out his book, Standing Your Ground, and the podcast, Clean Up on Aisle 45. I wanted to tell you guys, as Harry mentioned, about this weekend where I will be. As promised, I will be in Los Angeles at City Hall. They asked me to speak out here in LA, the 5051. So that is where I will be. And it will be from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will be there between 6 and 8. So looking very forward to seeing you in LA if you're there. I think we're going to have probably tens of thousands of people here. I know the DC 5051 is expecting tens of thousands of people. I was going to just drop a line for our friends out in LA. I know how much this costs to put one of these things on, and they were really needing some help with their fundraising. So I actually put their link down in the description. I think if you go to 5051socal.org, you'll find the donate link. It's also in the description below. So if you can help them out in any way there, I've done this before, so I know how many thousands of dollars it costs to put one of these things on. It is definitely not cheap, but looking very, very forward to seeing you tomorrow. I am working on getting a live stream. You know, we live streamed the Fox protest last weekend, which was great. And I'm working on seeing if I can do one tomorrow. So TBD on that. If not, I will definitely have some post coverage of at least my speech and some other events on the Jessica Denson YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of the Fox protest, I want to give a shout out to some people with some growing YouTube channels. The Real Chance Meeting. His name is Chance Meeting. Yes, it is an interesting name, but that's his name, Chance Meeting. And his YouTube channel is The Real Chance Meeting. He came and interviewed me and Carlos last week in DC and did some excellent coverage, actually, both of that and 314, the Veterans March. So check him out, The Real Chance Meeting. I have his interview of me down in my interview section on my YouTube channel. And for the DC folks, now their event is starting at noon. One other thing that came out of the Fox News protest last week was a friend of ours that came to join us named Erica has planned a protest in solidarity with the Smithsonian and this heinous executive order that Donald Trump has issued for rooting out, I don't know what term, something like inappropriate content, this very overtly fascist move to erase history and culture. So she has a plan to unite and encircle the African American Museum, which is like a 5-minute walk from the National Monument, at 11 a.m. before the main event that 5051 is putting on at the National Monument. So if you're able to join Erica, I'm sure she'd love to see you there. What's happening, what they're attempting to do anyway to our institutions is unthinkable. And we got to recognize it, call it out, and demand an end to it, like we are demanding an end to all of this. So thank you all so very much. I'm really, really excited for this weekend. This is going to be one of the largest showings. These things just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is really an opportunity. If you're going to go to one of these things, please join me in messaging that this administration needs to be removed from power immediately. That is the normal thing. That is the natural thing. That is not the radical thing. That is the normal thing. To not have an illegal, constitutionally disqualified domestic terrorist and his unelected billionaire friend running the country. That's normal. So we can be unapologetic in normalizing that conversation. Please message that with your signs, with your protests, whatever you are doing tomorrow. Please join me in normalizing this conversation. I love you guys so much. As always, the best way to support Lights On is just to subscribe to the Jessica Denson YouTube channel. I know a lot of you have joined as members since last week, so thank you so much for doing that. I know there's some different tiers. I don't think anybody is in the higher tiers yet, but as soon as I see it, as soon as I see members in the higher tiers, I will generate that extra content that is in that extra membership level. You can also, as always, support Lights On by buying merch at thejessicadenson.com. I just made a new hoodie because I wanted something that I could wear that was really soft. And so we have a new super soft standout Lights On hoodie. And you can support my ongoing legal battle and the work that I do at thejessicadenson.com/donate. Thank you, everybody, so much. Have a wonderful weekend. As always, let your light shine.